Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are above replacement radio. And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing quite well today. We are 1 week removed from the full, well, maybe not the full postseason picture, but the postseason picture being set, barring a late game 161 and or 2 like we had last year. But there is a week left in the regular season. It feels like it feels like opening day was just a few days ago. This season has flown by, as do most baseball seasons, but I don't know, this one especially just felt like there's a blink of an eye and we're at this point. But man, the league heard our early September episode being like, yeah, this is kind of probably going to be a boring September, and said, yeah, but what if it wasn't? What if we didn't know anything about anything going into the last week of the season? How about that?
Yeah, what if the most surefire division race actually is going to come down to the wire? And Tigers Guardians is going to be the most exciting series of this week. What if we told you that?
Yeah, what have you ever considered that idea?
No, it's and to the baseball gods, no, I didn't. And
I'm sorry for doubting you guys. I shouldn't have done it. It's I would say it's a rookie mistake. It's not. I mean, like, we know better than this. And we tested fate, and it responded.
What a fool I was for thinking that this could possibly be a boring middle of the road September. It's not the case. Luckily, some wrenches being thrown into the mix. Who would have thought that the Guardians would go on to win 15 out of 16 games and just kind of screw with everybody? Is that kind of what we want to talk about first? Is just
I think that's the headliner this week. There's others. Obviously, there was a big shakeup in the NL wild card today exactly. But I think the big one right now is what's going on in the AL Central, largely in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Guardians have won 16 of their last 19, dating back to September 3rd. They are now 1 game shy of the first place Detroit Tigers in the American League Central. For context, this was not even close. They were as many as, I believe, 15 and a half games back in July, and not close at any time. I believe they've made up 9.5 games on the Tigers since September 3rd is the number.
I think so as well. Since September 4th, it's been 10 total games. They were 11 back after September 4th. Since because they've won 15 of their last 17 as well. In that span, their division odds have gone from 0.1% to 36.2%, and their odds to make the playoffs have gone from 2.9% to 53.1%. It's been absolutely absurd. It's been great from an entertainment perspective to just see a team kind of come out of nowhere and make 2 different races very interesting.
Yeah, it's incredible that Detroit right now is doing the opposite of what they did last year, where they were the 0.1% to make the playoffs, and they eventually made it, and now they were 99.9%. And 99.9 isn't 100. That's just, that's what it is. And I don't think Fangraphs actually shows 100 until there is a mathematical clinch. Baseball Savant does not do that with win probability. Fun fact, like in-game win probability. But yeah, that's that 99.9 is not 100, and that's what we're seeing right now, possibly.
Right. Yeah, because in the span where the Guardians have gone 15-2, the Tigers have gone 4-11, which has definitely made that race way more interesting than we thought it would ever be. But yeah, with the Guardians, what they've been able to do is, for the most part, pitch. In this span, or in this 16 game span heading into Sunday, they had a 1.30 ERA and 2.62 FIP. I know the ERA was the best in baseball, and they specifically pitched well with runners in scoring position. They had entering today, they had an 89 or a 90% left on base rate, I believe. And part of that had to do with them having a 2.50 FIP with runners in scoring position. FIP is situation independent. So, them putting up those great controllable numbers, or more controllable numbers with runners in scoring position, does, help them out. And that's helped them, prevent runs at an extraordinary rate. They've definitely had some luck on their side, that's for sure. But even, looking at the luck independent stats, those have been absolutely on fire as well. So that's kind of been what's put them in the position, as well as the fact that they also have a 110 weighted runs created plus in this span, which is definitely much better than their, season average. And that's definitely put them in a good spot as well.
Yeah, from a pitching perspective, which I know that's much of what you've been talking about, but going into more of the bad ball stuff, the Cleveland Guardians pitching staff since September 3rd overall has a 6.4% barrel rate that was going into today, tied for the lowest in the majors. So, yeah, I mean, that's part of it for sure. It's a 47% ground ball rate against along with that, and that's like top 5 in the majors, I want to say. And they're bottom 10% or bottom 10 in the league in fly ball rate against and line drive rate against.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense looking at their numbers because, with that fly ball rate and barrel rate being so low and ground ball rate being so high, that's led to them allowing only 0.5 home runs per 9, which is the lowest in baseball in the span. So yeah, they're preventing hard contact, preventing the ball from leaving the yard. It's always going to help you out. So and yeah, that's part of the reason why they've been so successful. Yeah, shout out to them. Just never never giving up, never giving in. And here they are making the season extremely, extremely entertaining.
So the Guardians have pitched conveniently 162 innings as a team since September 3rd. Do you know how many of them have gone to pitchers with an ERA above 2.1?
What, one or two?
6.1. 6.1 out of 162 have gone to pitchers with a sub 2.1 ERA in the span.
Innings. I thought you were asking pitchers.
Okay. Yeah, how many innings? How many innings have gone to pitchers with those numbers? Yeah. 6.1 out of 162 innings have gone to pitchers with an ERA above 2.10.
Yeah,
which is a
wild.
like Cy Young winning ERA.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
And and it's Tim Herron and it's something Kent. I forget the guy's first name.
Right. Yeah.
Those are the only two pitchers. That's it.
Not their studs. But yeah, no, it's been certainly pretty crazy to observe. And now yeah, we kind of have to look at what the future holds. And what it holds is a 3-game series between Cleveland and Detroit. In Cleveland this week. Very, very high stakes, not only for the AL Central, but also just the general AL playoff picture. I know Tarek Skubal is going to be pitching one of those games, but yeah, I mean, what are we thinking about how that can just affect the whole AL playoff picture?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know if this is probably mathematically true it is mathematically true for the Tigers. I don't know about Cleveland, but I mean, it feels like this series should probably determine who the division winner is. Now, obviously, if Cleveland takes 2 out of 3, that just means they're tied going into the last weekend. But man, is it interesting? It's crazy. It's genuinely. I don't really know what to say. Like I did not. We were talking about Cleveland last week. Just yeah, they're still mathematically in it. I guess we should talk about them a little bit. No, and then they won 10 games in a row, but then lost today to the Twins in the finale of that series. It is 1 game of separation between the two, and it's the starting pitching and just the bullpen. It's crazy. One, because you still don't feel like their starting pitching really has a true ace, but you have Gavin Williams, who's been performing well, Bybee, who's been, pitching much better than he did at the beginning of the season, Parker Messick, Joey Cantillo. Like, it's all of these Jacob Junis, like these guys that are just like, yeah, you know what? They're all peaking at the right time. And the bullpen, even without Class A, Kate Smith has doubled down on his success from last year. Like it's Eric Sabrowski has broken out as a really good reliever this year. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like they always seem to just find guys who just appear, and Jose Ramirez is always a consistent presence, which helps them
Mhm.
out. He's having a 30-40 season, I believe, which is pretty crazy. A 6-win season according to F4. So that's certainly a major help. And yeah, I mean, in terms of kind of who their streak affects the most, who do you think is most on the hot seat? With the Guardians now being at play for both the AL Central um and the American League wild card.
It's absolutely the Tigers. I think that's, I think it's probably between the Tigers and Astros. But the Astros, they don't have to face Cleveland this week. If it's the Tigers, you have to, consider the fact that you blew a 15 and a half game division lead and missed the playoffs entirely. If that were to happen. You obviously play Cleveland this week. It's a division rival. You lost to them last year. Like this was supposed to be the year that you avenged that and won the division convincingly, and that's just not what happened, obviously. So that's I think, and for the Astros, like obviously missing the playoffs would suck. Um, the injury excuse is valid with them. It just is. Their team is at like 40% health. Legit. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. And it's been that way since June.
Yeah, and I last week I raved about how great the Yordan Alvarez edition was, and he all of a sudden
He
got injured
slipped on
once.
home plate.
Yeah, slipped on home plate. Very, very just unlucky injury, and now they're without him again. And yeah, it just makes things a lot harder. Just makes it a little bit less entertaining as a baseball fan. Yeah, I think the Tigers are definitely big time on the hot seat here. I think it puts the Red Sox in a tough position as well
It does.
because um, you know, they're only a game and a half up on Cleveland, and that could very well depending on how
They are
the
rallying right now as we speak.
yeah, they're rallying right now, but they're losing, and if they lose, then they're only
A game
um
up, and they have to go face the Blue Jays and the Tigers this coming week.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to get to is, they have tough competition this upcoming week, whereas the Astros, they face the Athletics and Angels. Athletics have looked a little tougher as of late, but the Angels have not, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So even though the Astros are going to probably end up tied with the Guardians for that third wild card spot, they have a seemingly easy road this upcoming week. Whereas, the Red Sox do not have that luxury facing a Blue Jays team that is still competing for the division, and then also a Tigers team, which is still going to be competing for a playoff spot, whether that's the division or the wild card. So, yeah, the Red Sox, even though they kind of seemed in a safe spot maybe a week ago, it doesn't seem that safe at the current moment, even with them winning a series against the Rays here.
I am just yeah. I'm trying to imagine like a scenario where Cleveland's in the playoffs, which I haven't really considered for most of the year. And now it's like, I've been trying to think about how certain teams match up for like a month and a half now. And Cleveland just hasn't been a part of those considerations for most of it. I mean, they've been, here and there, 2 or 3 games out of a playoff spot, whatever. Right now they're in one. Right now they hold the sixth wild card spot or the sixth seed, the third wild card spot. Um, and it's just so interesting. I think I mean, like, what? It'd be Bybee game one, Williams game two, then Cantillo, then Messick, something like that. I have no idea. Like, this is, uh,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on like with them most likely, fighting for a playoff spot up until the end. I don't think they can really time out their playoff rotation in an ideal way necessarily.
no.
Um, I think it would just be whoever's available game one, um, for that situation, and then they just kind of improv from there. And but yeah, Bybee would be a priority to get out there as soon as possible, whenever that may be. But yeah, they're probably going to rush to get to their bullpen, I would imagine. That's definitely a strength of theirs, even without Emmanuel Clase. And yeah, I mean, with offensively, it's just you kind of hope to get some rallies going because yeah, the home run ball is not necessarily going to be the best trick up their sleeves necessarily.
No, and Detroit, it's just been so brutal. I tuned into all three of their games this weekend against the Braves. And it was like it was a brutal loss in so many different ways. Friday, it was just they got blown out. It was, I think, a 10-1 game. They were down 6 in like the second inning. Like immediately they were out of that game. Saturday was the real heartbreaker. They were up. They were tied in the seventh inning. Spencer Torkelson hits a huge 2-run home run. It's one of those gone off the bat. He is hyping up the dugout. Like that's a in the moment, like that's a home run that you remember as like that's where it got back on track, is when Torkelson hit that. They went up 5-3. Gave up a home run to Nacho Alvarez in the eighth inning, and then with 2 outs in the ninth, they tied the game and gave up the lead, both on 1-2 counts, I believe, as well. So they were one strike away from winning, and then just one strike away from at least forcing either walk off or extras. And instead they lost in the ninth. Like that's as heartbreaking as it gets. And then today, through the first 8 innings, they were 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. And the one hit didn't drive in a run.
Yeah, that's tough.
That was this weekend for Detroit.
Yeah, I'm looking at the playoff picture here, and like whatever the wild card round matchups are going to be, it's going to be pretty interesting because it's most likely going to be an AL Central team in that third seed.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be Tigers Guardians, which would just be, kind of funny considering they would have just faced each other. It could be Tigers Red Sox, which would also be funny, considering the
They
fact
will have
that
just faced each other.
they would have just faced each other. But it could be, it could be Tigers Astros, like a rematch of last year, or it could be, Guardians Red Sox or Guardians Astros. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm almost at a loss for words considering I just did not expect to be in this situation at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's crazy. I think there's gonna have to be a deeper autopsy done on the Tigers in the event where they miss the playoffs or even just blow the division. But this has been going on for a while. Like they stumbled into the second half, and it felt like just the only thing keeping them up in the division was the fact that Cleveland was on this big roller coaster. They had a 10-game losing streak at one point. Like they were up and down and up and down, and now they're way up for the basically the entire month of September, and the Tigers are in free fall. They've lost was it 7 in a row at this point?
Um, yeah, possibly.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know they definitely got swept by Atlanta.
Yeah. They have lost 6 in a row. 9 out of their last 10 have been losses as well.
Yeah. Yeah, not great for sure from them. And yeah, as you mentioned, very ironic considering what happened last year. It is very much the opposite of what happened last season. But yeah, Guardians have really shaken things up. Because yeah, if the Tigers had this stretch, but the Guardians were playing even just mildly good baseball, there would not be this conversation having. But they've played excellent, near perfect baseball, uh, and that's why we're talking about them heading into this week. But
Yeah, it literally has taken the Guardians going on a 10 week. Like that's how much the Tigers were up. They could have
exactly.
they could have coasted into the playoffs with this record. It literally had to take this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because yeah, the Royals were not, performing to have not been performing. They've been kind of back and forth all year. Twins have um been even more disappointing than last year. But yeah, anything more before we get into the next wild card race?
Now let's talk about the Reds and the Mets.
Yes, because yeah, if the season ended today, the Reds would be the sixth representative of the in the National League playoffs. Yeah, what do you think about this situation?
This, I think, I mean, I don't know how the Reds are still here. Like I mean, they've won five in a row. They had a four-game sweep of the Cubs this weekend. This is, I think, largely much like the Guardians. Like this is the Mets in free fall. Like the Mets are, they lost the series at home to the Nationals. They have lost. Uh, I mean, four out of their last or six out of their last 10 doesn't really paint the full picture. I'm trying to get the full thing, but they've been in free fall for a little bit now, and it's actually come to fruition here. Hold on, I'm gonna get the actual record since September 6th because that's the day in which I don't know. Do you have any numbers you want to share before I do that?
No, not really. Like, yeah, because a lot of where the Mets fell was heading into last episode. Like, I think they had a
Hmm.
8-game losing streak or something like that that had ended the day we recorded last week, and they haven't necessarily uplifted themselves in the past week since we recorded. But yeah,
Real
just
quick, I have it. So the Mets are 4-11 in their last 15, and in that same span, the Reds are 10-5. So that is a 5-game lead that the Reds have over the Mets in that time.
right. Yeah,
That's
no,
what's
that's
up.
pretty wild, pretty wild. And yeah, like it's seeing the Reds in this position, like I don't think I would have been surprised if you told me the Reds would have this record at this point in the year, but
No,
I would have been surprised that it warranted
that
them
it
a
would be
playoff
enough,
spot.
especially in the National League. I would have been like, oh, that makes an AL playoff spot for sure.
Right, yeah, exactly, exactly. But I mean, here they are, like they could easily win just 83, 84 games and make the playoffs. So I
Yeah, the
mean, good for
Diamondbacks
them.
sold at the deadline and are one game out going into the last week. Although to be fair, they do have a tough week. They go to LA. They go to LA and then they go to San Diego. Or they're home against LA. They go to San Diego.
Yeah, they have the second toughest strength of schedule remaining,
Yep.
according to Tankathon. San Diego has the
Who's
toughest.
they what? They got the Diamondbacks and then who do they got this week?
Um, the Brewers, who
Oh
probably
yeah, they
won't
do.
be playing for
I would
anything.
say, well, the Padres will be all right. I don't think they're too worried about their strength of schedule. I think they're pretty firmly in the 5 seed right now.
Yeah, and I
They
guess
they're almost certainly going to be going to Wrigley.
maybe a little off topic here, but the easiest strength of schedule remaining belongs to the Giants. They will be hosting,
Hmm.
I believe, hosting both the Cardinals and Rockies.
Yes,
And
that's true.
they're three out, so they could, if they win all 6 games,
Yeah,
they
they
could
they
end up.
basically have to go 6-0 and hope for a miracle
Yeah,
from the Reds, Mets, and Diamondbacks.
and then the Yankees have the second easiest
And
strength of schedule,
and by the way,
and
you know who's only one game behind the Giants?
um,
Don't
I'm
look.
looking. No, I just looked.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, guess who's still alive?
the
The
Marlins. Look at
Miami
them.
Marlins they've won like six in a row. They swept the Rangers, who pretty much are all but mathematically eliminated at this point. They're not. I don't think they're quite there yet, but uh, it's not happening.
Yeah, they've won 9 out of 10. And yeah, last thing on the strength of schedule stuff. The Yankees have the second easiest strength of schedule, and they're only two back of the Blue Jays, so they could
One hundred
steal
percent.
they could steal the East potentially.
Although to be fair, the teams they're playing are the White Sox and Orioles, who like aren't as bad as their records say.
Yeah, probably yeah, especially the Orioles, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so yeah, the Reds are in a playoff spot.
I'll
And
say
yeah,
what numbers do we have numbers on the Reds? I feel like we should.
I mean, I don't know. It's not really they've just kind of ended up here. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say that they've
definitely the pitching. The pitching's been very good. They got a strong outing today from I believe it was Andrew Abbott. Um, and then the good relief appearance from Nick Martinez. Your guy Tony Santillan had a big save today.
oh yeah, Big Tone. That's my
Yeah,
guy. That's my guy from like 2023 or 2022.
yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's the
I,
pitching.
I don't have much to say other than like, yeah, they've won. They've won 5 in a row, so
I am very intrigued at the fact that the Reds go into the last week of the season controlling their destiny because they have the tiebreaker over the Mets. They went 4-2 against them this year. So if it ends in a tie, they get the spot. Um, and I think well, first of all, the important thing to me here is they are playing the Pirates at home this week. And I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but it reminds me of 2023, in which the Reds also were fighting for a playoff spot late in the season. They were home against the Pirates in the last week of the season, and that's when they had that like absolutely heartbreaking loss that basically like took them out of it. They were leading 9-0 and blew it and ended up losing 13-12. And this is their shot of redemption. It's basically the same situation. They're in a playoff spot. It's the last week of the season. This is the second to last weekend last time, but yeah, like they get a chance of redemption here against the Pirates. But they do have to face Paul Skeens in this series, so who knows?
yeah, Paul Skeens versus Hunter Green is going to be a tremendous,
I
watch.
will almost certainly be watching that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure. And yeah, they definitely have a little bit of an easier road, it seems, than the Mets do, if I'm not mistaken, or a little bit. I mean, they're facing the Brewers, but the Brewers will probably not really have to be playing for anything at that point. Whereas the Mets, they're facing the Cubs, who, do kind of have to fight for seeding, at least for the next 3 games. And then they got the Marlins, who, albeit not a great team, but are doing pretty well right now. So, something to look out for there. And yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to look out for. But yeah, I mean, anything more on the wild card race?
So who? Okay, so the Mets have they go home, or excuse me, they're done at Citi Field. They go to Wrigley, then they have 3 in Miami to close out the season. And even if the Marlins aren't playing for something like, I know that like that is such a spoiler team if I've ever seen one.
Oh yeah.
Like it's been like regardless of record, it's been a very special season for them. They've had a lot of fun moments. And it does feel like a fitting end would be playing spoiler for the Mets. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I can absolutely see the scenario where that plays out. The Reds, they have the Pirates, and they play the Brewers in Milwaukee, who will, may or may not be playing for anything at that point, but I'm sure they'd love to keep a division rival out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and
And then the Diamondbacks you mentioned I mentioned have their home against the Dodgers, road against the Padres. Yeah, and the Giants have the easy schedule, and then the Marlins. I mean, I know they play the Mets. I don't know who they play this week.
right. And it's cool to know that this is definitely for the 6th seed. Like that's confirmed what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't think the Padres have officially clinched yet, but they will. I'm
yeah,
not worried about them.
and the Dodgers it seems like they're definitely going to have the 3 seed most likely. So it's a matter of who gets to face the Dodgers.
Right.
I think
Right.
personally, just from an entertainment aspect, I want to see the Mets in there. I want to see, anytime, I want to see
Mhm.
Lindor and Soto in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Sure.
I
No,
want to see
that's
Pete
fair.
Alonso in the playoffs
Mhm.
for the kind of chaos factor. I think the Reds would be fun. But I just can't see the Reds making a real competitive, uh,
See, but that's why I
run
want to
it.
see him though.
Yeah,
I mean, Hunter
yeah,
Green is like, he's a part of the equation and hasn't been throughout the season. So it's like when you look at their overall stuff, it really doesn't include him that much. But well, I guess he's pitched 100 innings, but he's been amazing for them. Like he's a legit game one starter and maybe one of the better game one starters in coming out of the National League. I think definitely a guy that has the most potential to take over a game and pitch 7 and give up 1 and strike out 10. I think that potential is very much there. After that, it's okay. It's Abbott, it's Lodolo, it's Singer. Like it's not no one that you can be sure of, but I don't know. I think it would be very fun, especially because like they've been so close so many times, and like 2020 doesn't count as a playoff appearance. Let's be real here. Like it was for one, it was 2020. It was super fake, but also they played 2 games in Atlanta and didn't score a single run. Like that didn't count.
Yeah,
So
and they were
I'm
they were
saying
the
it. This
seventh
team
seed.
hasn't. Yeah, they were the 7th seed. Yeah, I'm just gonna be real with you. This team hasn't had a playoff appearance since 2012. I'm just gonna say that, even if it's kind of not true.
Right, yeah.
Well, I guess 2013 they did have that.
Yeah, they had that one game in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's like the Dodgers the Dodgers did lose to the Diamondbacks 2 years ago, but I think this Dodgers team is better and it definitely has a better pitching situation than it
100.
did
Oh my
two
God, dude. They
years
started
ago.
they started Lance Lynn in game 3. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Post breakout Lance
Yeah,
Lynn.
they had to start, and we'll get to him later, but they had to start Kershaw in game 2, who I think was hurt. Oh, if you hear background noise, it's because friend of the show, friend of the program, Matt Brash is in to close out the Sunday night baseball game for the Mariners against the Houston Astros. It is a 7-3 game in the 9th inning. He just got a first pitch ground out. Looks like there was a injury to Zach Cole on the play. It looks like he might be fine. Trainers are out. But anyway, our guy is pitching on national TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for him. I mean, almost as big of a deal as when he came on above replacement radio.
Almost. Yeah, it's not quite there. Oh, look, even someone else is up.
Yeah.
Someone else is ready to watch this occasion if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah, Theo locked into
Yeah.
Mr. Brash.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at either the Reds or the Mets getting in. I would be happy to see either of them for varying reasons, certainly. But I don't know. Like I've seen the Reds so many times be in that position and fumble it, and I would like to see them, finish the job this time and get there. I think is where I ultimately lean. And I don't think it's wrong to want the Mets over the Reds either for the idea of seeing Lindor and Soto.
Yeah, the safety, like I don't know. It would be, I guess, if a 6 seed were to win that series, it would definitely be more exciting if the Reds won,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Although I think the Mets could go potentially further. It would just be a bigger moment if the Reds defeated the Dodgers. But in terms of
tough for the salary cap arguments for sure.
yes, indeed. But with the in terms of preventing a series that would look like the Dodgers and Brewers in 2020, which really had no moments at all. I could see the Dodgers Red series happening like that, whereas it would be harder for me to see that with the Dodgers and Mets going against each other, considering the makeup of the Mets lineup. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it is all going to unfold in front of us.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so anything more on the wild card races?
No, let's get into players to highlight, and then we'll talk about the I guess the larger maybe off-field news of the week that happened earlier.
Get into players to highlight first?
Yeah.
All right,
so
we will start with the lows. We end with the highs with our Sunday, September 21, 2025 edition of Slightly Alarming Statistics. He's been barreling up the ball way less.
He's not missing bats. He's not getting the ball on the ground, and people are hitting it in the air more.
It's been so bad. He is getting
slightly alarming.
I don't know if this has ever happened before, but as far as I can tell, this is one of the first games in which I've highlighted a person on a segment while that person was currently batting as we spoke. But I am talking about Jose Altuve, who is currently hitting and also did hit a double earlier tonight and is 2 for 2 as my slightly alarming, because since August 12th, he is slashing 180, 232, 328 for a 560 OPS. a 51 weighted runs created plus, and minus 0.6 FWAR. Among the 171 qualifiers since August 12th, he ranks 5th worst in batting average. He ranks dead last in OBP, 7th lowest in OPS, 8th lowest in weighted runs created plus, and 2nd worst in FWAR. Among the 203 hitters with at least 100 plus plate appearances in the span, he also ranks tied for 16th lowest in expected WOBA. So he's not getting results, but also not really supposed to be getting much results either with the way he's hitting. And a big reason for that is because among the 213 hitters with at least 50 batted balls in the span, he has a 14.6% pop-up rate, and that is the 3rd highest in Major League Baseball. And he also just struck out as speaking to end the game. Shout out to Mesh for pitching a 1-2-3-9 on Sunday Night Baseball. Huge. Anyway, Mariners sweep. They're up 3 games. And the Astros have Jose Altuve, who has had his fly ball rate increase over the span, but ultimately his pull rate on fly balls has gone from 45.1% before the span to 35.7% in this span. And Altuve is a guy that doesn't hit the ball hard. We've known this for his entire career. It's only gotten worse the last couple of years, even with the Crawford boxes. If he's not pulling his fly balls, he's not hitting home runs. That's just fundamentally what it is. He doesn't have that kind of pop at this point in his career. And yeah, like 35% ultimately is not always going to cut it, especially because he's not a guy that barrels it a lot. 45% is really where you get even like the league average production out of him as we're seeing right now. His whiff rate has also gone from 19.8% before the span to 23.4% in this span. And he's been particularly bad against breaking balls and off-speed pitches. Among the 248 hitters that have seen at least 200 of them in the span, he ranks dead last in batting average with a 1 average. He ranks tied for last in slugging at a 167 and dead last in WOBA at a 141, 2nd last in run value per 100 at -7. And the whiff rate against them has also gone from 24% before the span to 32.3% in this span. So it's been a rough go of things for Jose Altuve. And he did have a good night tonight, but ultimately did make the final out as the Astros were swept at home by the Seattle Mariners in perhaps the biggest regular season series that they've played in this run of dominance that they've had. And he is getting a slightly alarming.
Yeah, Jose Altuve.
Slightly alarming.
Yeah, no, they're not used to playing that big of games. Although the last couple years, it's kind of come down the wire, or at least in 2023, it came down the wire. That was an exciting year in the AL West. But they're on the wrong side of things this year, it seems, at least on the division front. But my slightly alarming, he's not anywhere around a playoff race, that's for sure. But this is one of the bigger samples I've done probably in the history of players to highlight. I'm talking about O'Neal Cruz.
I wanted to do it like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead though.
Yeah, we haven't highlighted him yet, have we?
But ended up choosing somebody else.
All right, yeah, because
it's been a long time. It's been like since the start of May, right?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
In his last 84 games, including today, the sample I chose was May 27, so like around Memorial Day. Remember Memorial Day? That's how long.
Yeah, that was my birthday.
Yeah,
around it.
So around the time, so pretty much as long as you've been 25 years old, O'Neal Cruz has been struggling. Because in his last 84 games, including today, O'Neal Cruz is hitting 183 with a 580 OPS. Out of 161 qualified hitters in the span heading into Sunday, his on-base percentage ranked 5th worst, and his average, slugging, and OPS all ranked the worst. His walk rate has gone from 14.7% before the span to 9.5% in this span. His chase rate has gone from 26% to 29%. Also, although this number is still elite, it has gotten worse. His average exit velocity has gone from 97.1 miles per hour to 95.0 miles per hour. And, he strikes out over 30%.
He's barely averaging a hard hit ball.
Yeah, it's a very talk about alarming.
Yeah.
But as a guy who strikes out more than 30% of the time. He does kind of need to make sure his quality of contact when he does hit it is supreme, and it hasn't necessarily been that, especially when you consider the angle stuff, as his fly ball rate has gone from 28% before the span to 22% in the span. His line drive rate has gone from 26% to 20%, and his ground ball rate has gone from 41% to 53%. And out of 250 hitters to hit 150 plus batted balls in the span heading into Sunday, O'Neill Cruz's ground ball rate was the 8th highest. Also partially due to the lower average exit velocity and lower fly ball rate. His barrel rate has gone from 26% to 14%. And when he is putting it in the air, he's not pulling it, as his rate of fly balls being pulled has gone from 31% before the span to 21% in the span. And with that, his home run to fly ball ratio on Baseball Savant has gone from 31% to 14%. So, yeah, with him walking less, hitting the ball softer, hitting the ball more on the ground, it has resulted in him being essentially the worst hitter in baseball since May 27. Over a half season span where he's been the worst hitter in baseball. And this is someone, by the way, I was pretty high on him. I almost put him in the top 50. I put him as the number 5 center fielder in baseball heading into this year, and I put him as a dark horse MVP pick. And that is definitely not happening, unfortunately. And with him being, I think, 26 now, it seems like we're kind of we're not really waiting on his potential anymore. It's just, I guess, not really happening for him, unfortunately. O'Neill Cruz.
Slightly alarming.
It's so sad, dude. I thought this was going to be the year.
Me too. Me too. I mean,
I would do literally anything. Like
we saw glimpses of it last year. He went 2020, and it seemed like that was just the beginning for him, and it looked really good for the first quarter of the season. It looked like, this is going to be it. But
I think, and I mean, all right, this is I've remained on this take the whole year, and I am not budging from it. Get him out of center field. Get him out. Put him back at shortstop. Like, it is. The defense actually has come around a little bit. I still he's a shortstop to me.
Yeah. I wonder if that is playing a role in what's going on.
I think I don't know. I don't know. I still just don't agree with the fact that they have him in center field.
Yeah, right. I mean,
the arm of the arm strength is obviously crazy. It's literally 100th percentile. It's going to come in more handy as a shortstop than a center fielder. Like, you might get more highlight plays as a center fielder, and he did, right? He had that crazy throw earlier this year. But I still think it's more useful as a shortstop.
Yeah, just numbers wise, I know, being an average shortstop is more valuable than being an average center fielder, and it seems like he is kind of average at both, maybe a little bit on the above average side of center field, but even being around average as a shortstop has its own inherent value. Even though his outs above average was lower last year, his defensive runs above average was higher in 2024 than 2025 because of the value of being a shortstop. So maybe there's an argument to be had there. But yeah, that shall do it for slightly alarming. And now we will go from the lows to the highs, where we're talking players or subjects that have been outperforming expectations with our Sunday, September 21, 2025 edition of How About That.
He's striking out less, walking more, and he's also making better contact.
Turning into a strikeout machine just out of nowhere.
He's been excellent all around this year.
And he is getting a...
How about that?
So as promised, from last weekend, we are finishing the list. I think this is probably the only time where I know that we're overlapping. Because it was we had to do our civic duty this week. We weren't gonna play. Neither of us wanted to play that game of chicken where it's I bet he did it, and it's actually no, they didn't. But the Diamondbacks were the last team that has not been highlighted yet this year on How About That. Which is definitely our fault. The guy that we are both highlighting has been doing extraordinarily well over the entire season, and definitely deserved a lot better. but ultimately he's only getting highlighted now, but I suppose it is better late than never. And I'm saying we haven't officially, said it yet, but I'm just going to say that we are highlighting Geraldo Perdomo, who throughout the season is slashing 289, 391, 462 for an 853 OPS with a 138 weighted runs created plus and 6.9 F4. He is going to have a 7-win season, very likely, which is insane. He ranks 5th overall in F4, second among shortstops, only down to Bobby Witt Jr., which is quite impressive. Among the 144 qualifiers, he ranks 13th highest in batting average, 5th in OBP, 19th in OPS, tied for 12th in weighted runs created plus, 16th in defensive runs above average, 15th in base running runs, and as I mentioned, 5th in F4. Overall this year, he has decreased his strikeout rate from 14.9% last year to 10.9% this year, and his walk rate has gone from 9.3% to 13.4%. His average bat speed has increased by 1 mile per hour from both the left and right side since last year, and that has been very helpful, along with a stance change. He moved back in the batter's box. From the left side of the plate last year, he was standing an average of 15.4 inches in the box. This year, it's 17.2 inches, so he's moved back a couple inches, but from the right side is where you start to see a lot of that change. He went from 17.6 inches last year to 22 inches this year. 4.5 inches he moved back in the batter's box, and among the 85 hitters with at least 150 plate appearances this year versus lefties, Perdomo ranks 3rd in average with a 337 and 14th in OPS with an 892. So that's where you see that stance change, especially from the right side, start to play a big role. Right there. And there's results that come from it. Coming into this year, Geraldo Perdomo had 20 career barrels in 1,420 plate appearances. This year, he has 30 in 687 plate appearances. 8 of his top 11 exit velocities on any batted ball throughout his career have come this year. His average exit velocity on fly balls has gone from 87.5% between the last 2 years to 89.2 miles per hour this year. It's a 2 mile per hour increase. And defensively, he is excelling because there are easier plays that are coming his way. His expected success rate went from 74% last year to 77% this year. He's actually outperforming that with a 78% success rate overall. And that's how he has put it all together and put together a possible 7-win season and a possible top 5 finish in wins above replacement. So that is Geraldo Perdomo.
Yeah, Geraldo Perdomo. Or wait, whoop.
How about that?
Yeah, I'm also highlighting Geraldo Perdomo. I'm highlighting his last 40 games.
Perfect. So we got a season, we got a recent.
Yeah, because he's been particularly shining since August 9th. And in his last 40 games, including today, Perdomo is hitting 322 with a 991 OPS. Out of 169 qualified hitters in the span heading into Sunday, Perdomo ranked 5th in on-base percentage and 7th in OPS. And among all players in this span, he ranked 2nd in F4 heading into Sunday. Out of 152 hitters to see 500-plus pitches in this span heading into Sunday, he ranked 8th in expected batting average and 13th in expected WOBA. He has an 11% strikeout rate and 13% walk rate in this span. And out of 169 qualifiers in this span heading into Sunday, his strikeout rate was 11th lowest and walk to strikeout ratio was 5th best. He also had an 11% whiff rate in this span heading into Sunday. And out of 152 hitters, that ranked the 3rd lowest. And into why he is kind of hitting for more power in this span here and why he's more top the offensive charts. His barrel rate has gone from 5.5% before the span to 8.7% in the span, and his rate of fly balls being pulled has gone from 26% to 44%. And with that, his home run to fly ball ratio has gone from 10% to 22%, which has allowed him to be, the second best player in baseball in a 40-game span. So yeah, Geraldo Perdomo from both of us is getting a
How about that?
And yes, it is kind of our fault, but the the pickings were slim from the Diamondbacks this year. This was a team we expected to be the second best, have the second best National League record, both of us. And they certainly underdelivered. They're below 500 right now. And it has been due to a lot of underperformance and maybe some of the guys who would be eligible for how about that not performing to their capabilities outside of Geraldo Perdomo. And, I think in most cases we would not pick him because we feel like maybe it was too late, but, we had to cross a team off the list here. But
we did it though. We did our civic duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Year 6 of, making sure everyone is represented on ARR.
Yes, indeed. Year 5 because the COVID year we did not.
That's true. You're right.
We did not do that. We did not have the time.
No, that would have been impossible.
Yeah.
We would have had to reach real hard.
We would have had to rip off like 4 how about that's an episode.
Yeah. We would have had to stretch for a guy who had like a 797 OPS in like a 7-game span.
Yeah.
And it's a guy that had been like the worst hitter in the league beforehand.
Yeah, and he he did it at Oracle Park, so his weighted runs created plus was a little bit higher. But yeah, so that should do it for players to highlight. But in terms of another player to highlight, not in our segment, but this past week we discovered it was announced to us the news that Clayton Kershaw, this was his final season for his career. He's been pitching in Major League Baseball since 2008, and 2025 will be the final of his career. What were your thoughts when this news came out?
I mean, it definitely makes me feel old. Clayton Kershaw made his Major League debut on my 8th birthday. That's how long he has been in the league. I'm now 25 years old. And it's like, I don't know, like, we're starting to get to the age where guys are retiring, where maybe we were full careers, but we were peaks. And I remember, when I was probably 14, 15 years old, when Clayton Kershaw was on his yearly Cy Young runs. Like the Dodgers were my West Coast team, specifically when he was pitching. Like during the summer, I would stay up late and watch the games that he pitched, watch him, watch Vin Scully call him. Like those are my favorite Kershaw memories. My other one is the one time in which I actually got to see him pitch in person. I remember I went to a Mets Dodgers game in Citi Field. This was 2015, so at the peak of his powers. And as anyone does, I knew I was going to this game months in advance. So I started tracking, like, as soon as I felt like I could. Like, could it be Kershaw? Could it be this? Could it be that? And sure enough, we get, like, the matchup year-old Daniel would have absolutely dreamed of, which was Clayton Kershaw versus Bartolo Colon. That was the matchup that we got in that game. And I'm trying to find it right now, but it was, by game score, one of the best games that Kershaw ever pitched, which is saying a lot. It was a complete game shutout with 3 hits and I think like 11 strikeouts or something like that. No walks. He had a perfect game going through 6 innings. Curtis Granderson hit a leadoff single in the 7th inning to break. I got to see Kershaw once, and it was the experience, which was, special, obviously. 92 game score. It was tied for the 6th highest game score of any game throughout his career. 9 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts, no hit by pitches against the Mets. So it's crazy. It's crazy that he never really had like the true old man years either. Like he has like a mid-3s ERA this year. Like he's not going out, the playoff comments will always be made and whatever. And, it is unfortunately a bit warranted, but I will remember Clayton Kershaw for the regular season moments. And he also did have some playoff moments. Like he had some huge games in the 2017 World Series and the 2020 World Series. Whether that was fake or not, it happened. Like he did have his playoff moments. They were just overshadowed by the not so good ones.
Yeah, I mean, I fully am of the belief that he redeemed himself in 2020. It's just
I do.
no one cared because I think the
Mhm.
regular season could have an asterisk on it, but the playoffs, I mean, they were the real playoffs, and the Dodgers had to win 13 games to win that World Series, and it like it's not like they got technicality into the playoffs. They were clearly the best team that year.
Mhm.
And I'm no Dodger. I don't care about the Dodgers, but I think people like
They
to
also they
right.
also faced the best teams they could have in that run,
Yeah, exactly.
minus the Brewers, but like they faced the teams with the second and third best records in the AL in the NL that season, and then the team with the best record in the AL.
And going back to Kershaw, he threw in that postseason, he threw 30 and two-thirds innings, put up a 2.93 ERA and 2.96 FIP. He was excellent. He was excellent,
Mhm.
and he was a large reason why they won that World Series. Whether you want to, credit it as a real World Series or not, I think it's kind of silly, and I think I don't know. It's the 29 other teams that are that are maybe just a little jealous that it happened, but nonetheless, when I heard the news, I kind of it was kind of like, oh well, he is doing well this year, and he's 37, and he just kind of keeps on doing well. 3.55 ERA this year, 1.18 ERA plus. He's thrown over 100 innings, so it's like it's not like he has to retire, but just it made me realize there's really nothing else for him to do. He's a World Series champion. He's a three-time Cy Young winner. He's won an MVP. He's reached 3,000 strikeouts. I mean, he's done it all. He doesn't have to further prove his Hall of Fame case. He will get in first ballot. He will get, at least 95% of the vote his first
I
time.
would say like 97, 98.
Yeah, at least 95% of the vote. I mean, I'm not going to get into technicality of
Yeah,
of how much he
yeah.
gets, but yeah,
Um,
he will there's nothing else he has to
I
do
think
in the baseball world, and I think it's cool also that he's going to retire as someone who played his entire 18-year career with one organization.
I think it's very possible that for the rest of our time on this earth, Clayton Kershaw will have been the best pitcher we've ever seen.
Right. I mean, also it's such a great reminder, like looking at his, because immediately I go to the reference page
Mhm.
and like, look at that 2011 to 2015. But I mean, his career averages is a Cy Young finalist season. He has a 2.54 career ERA and a
Yeah,
2.86 career FIP.
yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
For context, in 2012, the year in which he finished second in Cy Young to R.A. Dickey, he had a 2.5 ERA. That's essentially his 2.89 FIP. That's basically identical to his career numbers.
Yeah, I mean, in 2021, Robbie Ray had worse numbers in both categories and won the
Yeah,
Cy
yeah.
Young. Like,
2023 Garrett Cole.
yes, that's also true. Yeah, I think he had a ERA in the 2.6s and a FIP above 3 or something like that. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous the numbers he put up. That he has put up 1.54 ERA plus, and yeah, I think he, his playoff performance obviously gets talked about, but it's sort of like the Judgian thing about like he he's the greatest in the regular season, but performed average in the playoffs. Therefore, it looks like he sucks in the playoffs when really he's just
Well, he also had a
average.
lot of moments. And some of it's so tough because it's like the Matt Adams home run. It's like most pitchers would have been taken out by then nowadays. The like the comeback loss against the Cardinals, same thing. Um,
Also the Matt Adams home run, like just objectively speaking, uh, okay, so we allowed 3 runs in 7 innings. That's still a pretty
yeah,
good
yeah,
start.
seriously.
And yeah, if the
It
Dodgers
was
had
also well, it was also a game in which they got eliminated. Like that definitely adds something to it.
right, yeah, and if the
Um,
Dodgers had scored 4 runs that day, they would have, yeah, I think they would have won that game.
the
So
2017 World Series. He pitches in game one, and it's like seven innings, 1 run, 11 strikeouts, and then he goes to Houston, and we all know what happened there, and perhaps we know why it happened the way it did, right? Like famously in that game five, the Astros like didn't swing and miss at a single breaking ball in that game,
Right, yeah.
right?
That was a thing. Um and yeah,
Like that could have, yeah,
in the 2020 World Series, 2.31 ERA, 2.68 FIP in 11 and two-thirds innings pitched. I recall, um, yeah, one of those games, game five, was huge, considering, the momentum was in the Rays' hands. They had just walked it off against them.
yes,
They just tied the series. And it looked like it was going to be, it looked like it was kind of destined for the Rays there for a little bit, considering the momentum. And, we knew about Kershaw's playoff history, but he went out and put together a very good performance in which he,
game
went five and
five.
two-thirds, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, no homers, and got the win and outdueled a young Tyler Glass now and got the win for the Dodgers, put them up 3-2, and eventually they won. So that's even if the stadium was a quarter full, that happened, and that is a moment to cherish in Dodgers history.
Yeah. Did you get to watch any of his start on Friday?
No, no,
Okay.
unfortunately, I did not.
It's really brutal that Apple TV keeps getting these moments. They got what was it? Pujols' uh Pujols' 700th home run. They get Kershaw's last start.
Yeah,
You had to pay extra for those. Brutal.
yeah.
Both in
Apple
Dodger Stadium.
Apple made a deal with the devil with whatever Magic Johnson or
Yeah, right. Right.
whoever owns the dot. I know he's not like the majority owner, but he's one of the owners.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, excellent pitcher, and yeah, I mean, just the prime is, you can't really talk about it enough. And the the thing is, it is on a rate basis it never really ended. It's just he started to get injured. But from 2011 to 2015, he averaged 225 innings per year, had a 2.11 ERA and 2.32 FIP. 172 ERA plus in those 5 years. That was an average season for him in a 5-year span. Um, just ridiculous. That's gonna win the Cy Young most years, a 2.11 ERA and
Yeah.
2.32 FIP in 225 innings.
He should have won more Cy Youngs. Like real talk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
20,
think
20 if 2015 a 199 FIP in 232 innings. Like that would have won
right.
nowadays. They gave it to Corbin Burns for that reason, and he had like 180 innings pitched.
Yeah, less. I think he had 167 or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
right.
that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, dependent on era, he might have gotten more. I think uh, even just if the voting took place like 5 years later or 6 years later, I know for sure. I think he would have won it in 2012. He won the ERA title. The thing about Dickey was he won 20 games that year, but he had a worse ERA, I think a worse FIP. He threw 6 more innings, but I don't think it was enough to outdo Kershaw. Um, so yeah, he very easily could have won 4 Cy Youngs in a row had you know
Five.
pitcher wins not been
I would argue five.
potentially 5. I think there's more
The
validation
the,
as
the
to why.
Arrieta Greinke one was tough to beat, but I
Yeah,
like I think it would have been a much more compelling case if it was made today.
yeah, yeah. Because there's a very solid argument for Greinke winning as well, as you alluded to.
Yeah.
Um, his FIP numbers were just not nearly as good
The fact
as
that they had
Kershaw's,
Greinke and
though.
Kershaw in the same rotation that same year is so ridiculous, man. That was
Yeah,
insane.
the first round exit, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. That too.
That's what we call organizational bad luck. That's a phrase I'm trying to get going. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. Um, but yeah, no, Kershaw, yeah, amazing career. Um, happy that he gets to retire a Dodger, spend his whole career there. I know it was a perpetual. I am gonna miss the annual Kershaw signs for 1 year and $17 million.
I am I am very happy he didn't go to the Rangers.
Yeah, me too.
Like I don't know how close that ever was to happening. There was a lot of people trying to speak it into existence. It would have looked so disgusting on his baseball reference page to see a random TEX at the bottom.
Yeah,
I don't endorse that. I am very happy he stayed with the Dodgers his whole career. That would have been so insanely wrong.
right. Because at least when Votto went to the Reds, like there's only one Canadian team, and there's very few.
I am
Uh,
also
there's
selfishly happy he never appeared for the Blue Jays.
there's like there's very few Canadian players, whereas like
Mhm.
everyone's from Texas. Like probably a third of American players are from Texas. So everyone's hometown team is either like the Rangers or Astros. So I don't know. It's like seeing like the
Yeah.
homecoming is not as big of a deal when it's like the Rangers, the Astros, or even like the Dodgers,
Mhm.
Padres, or I, I guess people don't really care if you're on the Marlins or Rays, but like Florida, Texas, California teams, like yeah, a lot of players grew up in those areas.
Kyle Tucker grew up a big Rays fan. I know that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, anything more before we wrap this up?
I do hope he doesn't suck in the playoffs again. I would genuinely. I know that there's a lot of fans that would love it for the bit, for the meme, whatever. I hope he goes out, the right way.
Yeah, I like.
I it
Do you
would it
think he,
would
do you think he's gonna
like I know that it
start?
would be the first time and it's like it would be the meme. It would make me so genuinely sad if he went out the stinker in the playoffs.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy some good-natured fun, I don't think that would be fun for me.
No.
Um, but do you think they're gonna start him?
I don't think so. Like
Me neither.
it's hard to yeah, it's hard to justify starting him over. Maybe they have him like piggyback Otani if he's going to start. I don't know what they're doing with him. They mentioned starting him out of the bull or putting him in the bullpen, whatever. I think if they do that, they would start him, but I don't. I would rather just start Otani.
Yeah, me too. I
And
think,
then you have Yamamoto, you have Glass, now you have Snell.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
Kershaw in the bullpen, Sasaki in the bullpen. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to start Kershaw in my opinion.
Yep.
Can't can't do that. Um, but yeah, it'll be it'll be exciting. Yeah, fun week of baseball ahead of us.
Very.
Very fun. Very fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, shall we wrap up?
We shall.
Yeah, all right. So that shall do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio, where we were talking baseball kind of whenever. Uh, Sometimes I go into autopilot, but sometimes,
Yeah, I would say that is not part of the outro,
yeah, no, my brain, yeah, sometimes I
in case you
veer off.
forgot.
It's like the verbal version of going down the wrong pipe. Like I meant to go somewhere,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it did not.
We just did not end up at the destination though.
But that shall do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you were listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Check out all the playlists. We've got the guest interviews playlist where we um, interviewed national sensation Matt Brash, one of the better relievers in baseball, and just closed out Sunday Night Baseball. And we talked to him about how he developed that great sweeper, his journey from as being a Canadian baseball player and his journey back from Tommy John surgery. So feel free to check that out. Also, feel free to check out our interviews with Chris Rose, Jeff Passan, Sarah Langs, Mike Petriello, Foolish Bailey, and Mark Simon 4 times. Feel free to check all that out and follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be previewing the wild card series and wrapping
Wow.
up the regular season. We will see you then.
This conversation
Is over.